Alright guys, welcome back. So on this episode we're going to be doing another weapon review. This time we're moving on to assault rifles. So we're looking for mid-tier assault rifles. Things that are cheap, that everybody can pretty much afford. And we're going to see how they do. And then at the end, again, we'll have our winner like always. And we're going to be down here at the Wastelands doing our normal review on how we do this. We're going to be using the $100 million setup for our implants. If you have not seen that, check out one of my videos that goes over implants. I believe it's called like $100 million implant setup. And that'll give you an idea of kind of what we're working with. The contestants are going to be the EBR-12, the Sentinel S19, the Sandstorm S19, the good old-fashioned Hammerhead, the AK-47, and the Warhawk X10 will be our in-game assault rifle, and that'll let us kind of get a good view on how these hold up to an in-game item. So again, like always, what we'll do is we'll go down here, we'll go to the Wastelands, we'll do several rounds with each weapon, we'll write down what the damage is, and then at the end we'll compare damage, price, and then some of the pros and cons of each weapon. All right, so before I begin, thank you guys for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm counting on you guys. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, so thank you guys very much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start in. I'm going to run down here to the Wastelands, and then we will begin our test. So just hang tight, and I will be right back. All right, guys, so we're about to enter the Wastelands. There is a 30% EXP and 30% damage boost weekend event going on. So I have a 48% damage boost. Typically it'd be 18%. But again, for the weekend, that is the weekend buff. So we have that going on as well. So keep that in mind. And what we're going to do is we are just going to go down here and go down like about 3 blocks. And then we'll start our rounds. So we'll see how these hold up. So to begin, we're going to be starting with the EBR-12, which is a machine gun I've never used. We're going to try out the Sentinel S19, and then we'll move on to the Sandstorm S19 after that. And then, again, we'll switch our weapons out and continue on. And then at the end, we will have our overview and see what that looked like. And again, if you guys are watching this, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out, guys. And we are almost to 1,000 subscribers, and that is my end time goal. And I would love to hit that, this month. Or I guess I should say next month, because this month's almost over. But I would greatly appreciate the support, guys. And, I couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you all very, very much. So we got to find a good spot to really test this out. We might use this section, actually. Let's do it here. All right, so here we go. So again, we're just going to start out, and this has an alt. Oh crap! There's a devil hound here. We're not going to do this here. All right, we'll do it here, even though I don't like the zone. So I like to pick zones that don't have much or many obstacles. So as you can tell on the map right now, there's a lot of things going on in this section of the map, so I'd rather not be there. Maybe up at the top here. Looks like around here I have some room to move around, so we'll try there. Alright, so the EBR-12 I've never used, and it's supposed to be considered, it says it's an assault rifle, but for me, I think it shoots a little slow. Again, I've never used it. This is my first look at this weapon. But we'll see, what happens here. But I would say it is a little slow for my taste already. So first round, 3.6 million experience. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to keep doing this until the experience slows like normal. And then we will write that down. And then we'll move on to the next weapon. So 8 million. So that was a big update there, obviously. Going to happen. The first round is usually slow. And it looks like it's doing 109 a shot. It has a piercing effect. which is actually kind of nice. I do like the bullet pierce. 10.4 mil, so another good update. And remember, there is a 30% damage boost on right now from the weekend event. And I'm sorry if I haven't had that many videos come out this week, guys. I usually do one every day, but it's been about every other. So I am on vacation this week from work, but due to that snowstorm, my mother-in-law, she's staying here for a couple days. I just got kind of a full house right now, so a lot going on. That's kind of taking some more time away from me. 11.8, so another good update. We're going to keep going. I would not bring this gun down here, though, to grind. So when I think of assault rifles, I think of grinding, and I would say that I feel like this is more of a rifle type. You know, I'm not sure why it's classified as an assault rifle, but I don't feel like it should be. So, and if you look at the average, we're at 12.8. It's really not up. It's not going up much more. We'll give it one more update and see what happens. But I think this one's pretty much topped out here. So it's at 12.8. Let's see what it goes to here. So 13.4. So yeah, we're going to call it at, we'll call it 13.4. So let's go ahead and pause this. Let's reset our stats, switch our weapon, and I'll be right back. All right, so we reset. We're going to use the Sentinel S19, and we're going to give this a go. Now, see, I feel like I can already tell you right now, I feel like this is much better for grinding. I feel like this is what an assault rifle should feel like. So, if you don't know the differences, there's SMGs, there's assault rifles, and then there's heavy machine guns. So, SMGs are a little quieter. They shoot a little faster, but they don't pack as much as of a punch. And then at 12, we're at 12.3 million, guys. And then obviously assault rifles are kind of in that mid-tier area where they pack a little bit more of a punch, and they do a little bit more damage, but they're not quite with a heavy machine gun. So if you're looting, SMGs are going to be a little quieter, you know, submachine guns. Assault rifles are going to be in that mid area, and then heavy machine guns are going to be very loud, but obviously a lot of damage. 16 mil, so big update there with the Sentinel S19. My favorites are the heavy machine guns, but again, I specifically use mine for grinding and hordes. So I would say SMGs or heavy machine guns are my favorite, just for their purpose. 16.1 mil. And don't forget, guys, we do have a 30% damage boost going on right now, so keep that in mind. 16.8. Some decent knockback, though. See what this next update does for us. So 16.8, and it should be updating any second. $17.2. We'll do one more update, and then we're going to call it, because I think it's already slowing down. So once I only start getting like less than 1 million updates on the EXP, that's typically when you can see the damage or experience start dropping off. So we're at 17.2. 17.6. So we're going to call it 17.6, and then we will switch our weapons just like before, reset our stats. So bear with me. All right, guys. So we are back, and we're going to be trying the Sandstorm S19 now. Let's see how this one holds up. And again, these are mid-tier weapons. And I've seen a lot of comments about, like, my last video, you know, why wasn't this gun used, or why didn't you use this gun, or, you know, so on and so forth. And the reason that I don't use every gun is if you guys have watched that one video where I do 17 items, it just takes so long to do so many weapons, so I try to stick to a certain amount, you know, 4 to 6 weapons, and I try to make them comparable. So like the Raptor didn't get used, but again, you know, if you use the Raptor, then you want to use another weapon, so you try to keep it to a certain extent. We're at 12.5 so far, guys. But that's why you guys don't see me using every weapon. That was a big update, 18.3. So we're at 18.3 mil. Again, this is the Sandstorm. So showing great promise with this. That was another big update. Very nice. We're going to keep going. Again, when I see million EXP updates, I know that the gun can push more damage, or more experience, I should say. So 20.1. See, this next update should probably be good too, I would think. 20.8. So we're going to do one more because that one was only a 700k update. This will be our last one. .8, and it should update here any second. 21.5. So we're going to call it a 21.5. Now we're going to switch out our weapons, reset our skills, so just bear with me for a second. Alright guys, so now we just switched out our 3 guns. We're going to start off with the Hammerhead. Now this is an old gun. Hammerhead has been around for a very, very long time. Should be a super cheap item actually. I'm not sure of the price. We'll look at all that when we get done with this. But I would imagine the Hammerhead is extremely cheap. So let's see how this thing performs here. I will say the knockback is nice. So 13.3, that's the first update. You know, actually, it's doing pretty good. I'm actually kind of impressed with the Hammerhead out here. Yeah, this is actually pretty nice. I did not expect this. So next update was a 17 mil. A very strong update from the Hammerhead. And if you guys didn't watch my quarantine video, check that out. I released 2 videos on a separate game called Quarantine. It's another zombie game. Let me know if you guys like that, and I'll make some more. I think I'll probably leave it at the 2 videos I did until people request it. So if that is something you guys like, let me know. 18.9 is where we're at with... Uh-oh. That was close. 18.9 is where we're at with this. So let's see if it can push out another big update for us. And again, that's why I don't like this area, is because there's lots of stuff to get pinned into. $19.8, so probably one more update, because that was only a 900k update. But still, for the Hammerhead to hit 20 mil, I am actually very impressed with this. Alright, so 19.9. We're going to call it 19.9. But honestly, pretty good. So just bear with me for 1 second. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the AK-47. I've never used this gun, but I honestly believe that this gun is going to be one of our strongest ones. When the X series weapons came out, it was kind of a big deal, and they were really good, especially like the XM79 grenade launcher. That thing was and still is an amazing grenade launcher for the price. So I'm expecting... Oh, you know what we forgot to do, guys? We forgot to reset our stats. Let me pause. F5, info, reset. Okay. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Now let's see what happens here. Knockback is nice. I can see that, you know, when I'm hitting them. Look at that, 21.9 mil first update. But I can see when I'm hitting them that the wave is just getting pushed back. I mean, look at that. So very, very nice for the XAK. And I would not be surprised if this took first place. 21.9. Look at that. I mean, it's doing really well. 24.2. So very solid from the XAK. Gotta get my aggro. That'll mess up my grind. $24.2. $22. That was just a bad burst of aggro. We're gonna try to redeem it. Let's do one more update here. You can't afford to lose your aggro down here. That's why it's very important to get a good spot. But that Devil Hound was kind of in my way. So 22.1. Let's see what we can do here. 22.4. So we're going to go ahead and call it at 22.4. We're going to write this down. Just bear with me. All right, guys. So now we're going to be moving on to the Warhawk X10. Now this is an in-game assault rifle, and you're going to see the damage difference, I would imagine. And again, guys, do not forget this whole video was taking place during the weekend. So there was a 30% damage boost and a 30% EXP boost going on. But with that, I only had a 48% damage boost. So even with that, still definitely achievable for almost anybody. So 18.9 for the first update. I believe the next update will be way higher. And it's got to beat 22 mil. Look at that, 26.3. Again, guys, this isn't the in-game assault rifle, so you're going to see a difference. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to see that. But you're also going to see a price difference. So anytime you see a big difference like that, you're going to pay for it. So 26.3. Let's see what we update to now. $29.8, yeah. We should probably hit the 30 million mark. We're at 29.8. $32.4, guys. So this one definitely took the win. But we're going to talk about price, performance, and then abilities here as soon as we're done with this next update. 32.4, 33.6. So still a strong update. We're going to do one more. We're at 33.6. $37.7. So another strong update. We're at 34.5 though for the average. We'll do one more. I just want to make sure we get an actual reading on this. Sometimes it takes weapons a while to get to their top end, especially if they're, you know, really good weapons. All right. 35.6 is where our average is gonna land at. So let's write that down. All right, hang on, guys. All right, guys. So we are back at the outpost. Now we're gonna talk about which weapon won, what their prices are, and then a comparison of some of the things that each weapon can do. So before we jump into that, if you guys watch this video, smack that thumbs up button for me, hit that notification bell, and please don't forget to subscribe. Really counting on you guys. Appreciate it very much, and yeah, I just need your support, please. So help me out, guys. So let's go ahead and get on with this. So I'm going to flashbang you guys real quick. So bright screen, just beware. All right. So the EBR came in at 13.4 million experience. So let's go through here and let's see what came in first. So first, this would be second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth place. All right. So let's do it this way. The Warhawk, obviously in-game item, came in with 33.6 million experience. It costs 55 million to buy, so very expensive weapon. And then you got second place with 22.4 million, so kind of a big drop there. And again, remember guys, when you're doing this, when you're down at the Wastelands, typically you're going to have way more implants than I did. So yeah, it may only be, 13 million gap right there. But when you get like 200% damage boost, 300% EXP boost, this gap is going to widen, right? So just remember that. So a little bit goes a long way. So anyway, XAK-47 with 22.4 mil. It's actually only $4 million, and that's our second best one. So you go from 55 million all the way down to 4 million. So huge gap in price. Then we jump over here to the Hammerhead. Or no, wait, I'm sorry, the Sandstorm. Sandstorm gets third place. It did 21.5 million. So actually it's right behind the XAK-47, almost identical. And it's 3.4 million in price, so very similar. And again, remember, the damage will scale. Then fourth place was the Hammerhead with 19.9 million. So realistically, it's still really close to that 22.4, and it's only 400,000, guys. So the Hammerhead is less than 500,000, and it's fourth place, and it's almost tied for second. Then we move over here to the Sentinel S19 for 17.6 million experience, and it's only 199k, and that's fifth place. And then you have the EBR, which is 13.4 million. It was 190,000 to buy it, and it's sixth place. So if you're looking to buy a weapon, I would highly recommend that you look at the let's see here, the Sandstorm. Actually, the Hammerhead for 400k. You're not missing out, man. For 400k, you really can't go wrong. But we're going to talk about a few things real quick. So looking at the weapons, the EBR-12, one thing it does is it pierces enemies, but it also has 50% armor penetration. So that comes in extremely handy. So just keep that in mind. And then we move down here to the Sentinel. Again, pierces targets, 50% PvE armor penetration. So still very handy. And again, looking at the stats here, with those two, definitely pick the Sentinel over the EBR. And moving on down, the Sandstorm, 80% PvE. So in the Southeast Zone, this is going to help you tremendously because they have armor. So armor penetration is going to go a long way, guys. And where did that fall out? The Sandstorm? Sandstorm came in third, and it has a high armor pen. So for 3.4 million and 21.5 million damage, that's actually a pretty good deal. So the Sandstorm looks pretty strong there. Go down to the Hammerhead, 50% PvE. So it does less PvE pen than the Sandstorm, and it did almost as much damage as the Sandstorm. So realistically, guys, still for 400k, it might take some more shots to kill, but not enough to where I would say to pick the Sandstorm. I would still pick the Hammerhead over the Sandstorm. And then you have the XAK, 50% PvE, armor penetration, pierces enemies, but it does so much more damage. You know, at 22.4 million, you know, I mean, it's hard not to pick that up for 4 million. But if you're on a budget, I would still stick with that Hammerhead. And then the last but not least is the Warhawk with 90% PvE armor pen, guys. 90%. And it also did 33.6 million. So you can see the difference there. Insane jump in damage, but you also insane price in insane change in price, right? Jump in price. So 55 million for the Warhawk, but it does a tremendous amount more damage, and it has a ton of armor pen. So I would say the Warhawk, I would get it if you could, and then I would honestly get the Hammerhead. I think it's a sleeper, guys. It surprised me, and I could actually tell when we were grinding that the knockback was pretty good and it was holding up. So for 400k, guys, that's a steal. So the Hammerhead and the Warhawk are the two I would look at. Obviously, there's some other options you could look at, but this was just a kind of a mid-tier look at them. And then anyway, please don't forget, man, like, subscribe, join the Discord, guys, in the comments below. There's a link for it. It's 100% free, doesn't cost a thing. And I really enjoy you guys watching these. I really like the comments, the engagement I get. So thank you guys very much. I'll try to get another video out soon. And until then, you guys stay safe out there. Peace.